So let's talk about paracord and knots. Here's a typical package of paracord. This is Para 550 heavy duty cord. I got 100 feet of paracord in here. This is 100% nylon, and which translates about 30 meters. And what you can do with this, and it kind of it mentions in here, is if you remove or if you cut, I'd say, the paracord, you actually have 7 strings inside that you can use for other things. So let me show you that. So here's another one, right? And we're gonna cut it open. Just got this Leatherman here, so you can see I've done this before. So this is actually smaller, as I've cut it. I've done some things with it. But if we were to, and you can see, you can see if it's gonna focus here. You can close the end of it, as you can see right now, with a lighter. So the moment you cut it, you can actually just melt this off, so it won't be fraying. But if we were to come here, I'm just gonna try to cut a little piece out of that. There we go. So put this up here. So what you get out of paracord, and I think this is interesting because paracord is likely the one thing you might use. And it's lightweight, it's extremely strong. So when you remove, what you have inside here, as you can see, you have 7 little strings, if you will, right, inside of the cord. But you can also use it's technically speaking, this is a cord mantle, which means that you actually have this external enclosure here, and then you have all of those strings. So if you were, let's say, to you could remove one of these strings here and use that to fish. Like, you could use that. You could also use this to tie up something that doesn't actually require a full cord of this thickness. But if you were to remove this whole thing, you can still use that, right? So this external enclosure here, and that actually contains some elasticity. So Morris Kohansky actually mentions in one of his videos that it's about 10%. So you could, this is pretty stretchable out here. So if you were, let's say, in bushcrafting, when you're lashing something, or in scouting, you could use this, and that would give you a lot of extra strength. So more on that in another video, but that's how it looks like inside of a paracord. So put that in a camera here so you can see it. Again, 7 strings there. So with this, and the reason why I'm talking about this is because I feel that paracord is one of those extremely versatile things that you want to have with you at all times, especially hiking or if you're out in the woods. I did talk about this in another video. I mean, this is what they call a survival bracelet. Again, the way this is right now, you would have to undo this, but you still have some paracord in there. There are other better ways to have this, but again, worst case scenario, it's in here. Now I typically carry 1 or 2 in my pocket. These were in my pockets right now, even this big one here. So let's start with this small one. When you buy typically a big, massive, 30-meter long, 100 feet of paracord, and I typically chop it in small size. I used this last summer when we were camping, just to secure some of the tents and the things that we had around us. So if I undo this here, let's go for our first knot. And I kind of believe that although there are a lot of knots, and knots are fun to learn, you can get lost just with the sheer amount of knots out there. So what can I do with this here? And just, if you're keeping a map here, I'm just behind the cameras here. This is about, I want to say an arm or 2 arms open. I mean, you can probably measure this and get more of a, scientific measurement here. But it's not really long, but it's long enough that I can carry in my pocket and I can use for various things. Now with that, the first one, I guess the first knot that everybody pretty much knows it's just an overhand knot. So with this, you just make a loop, and then you pass what do they call a working end, which will be this end here, and this will be the standing end. Let's say you're tying this up somewhere, and then you make a simple knot. That's a knot that all of us probably know. Even my 6-year-old son knows how to do this now. I showed that to him. So that's a fairly easy knot that you can do. And of course you can, the moment you tie this around something, that becomes a half hitch. So if I have, and I'll introduce this here, what kind of tool this is in a second. But if you're coming around here and you're tying that same knot in here, now I have a half hitch, right? So that's a very, very basic knot. Now, since I brought this tool into the picture, what do we have here? This is a Marlinspike. There are variations of this. You'll find them across the internet with different shapes and size and color, whatnot. But the main purpose is pretty much the same. This tool in particular, actually, you can store. This was part of a kit, and if you want to screw this, there's some. You can put some stuff inside here. But if you don't have that, if you only have the actual Marlinspike like this one, you can do a couple of things. So another knot that I think everybody could use, right, is the Marlinspike Hitch. So again, this being the Marlinspike, I can now do this. I can make one loop like that, right? So it's a single loop. And then I'll take this loop here, and then I'm going to lay that over the rest of the paracord, just like that. And I'm going to pull, right, through this little window here, this bite inside of the paracord. So now watch what happens. If I take the Marlinspike and then I go through this here, right, and if I pull just on both sides, just to tie it up a little bit, I can now use this to pull like a lever, really, anything. So if I pull like that, I mean this won't go anywhere right now. So if I have a load on this other side here, on this hand, right, I can still pull this around pretty strong. And you can see that this was actually done correctly because of the way that the knot is configured, right? That's one side, that's the back of it. So you have this little eye here, if you will, and then you have the cord going in the middle here. Now, to remove this, it's pretty easy. Right now, it comes out loose really well. And then if you were to just pull both sides, then you really don't have anything. The next knot that we're going to look into, so kind of again based on what I just showed you on the Marlinspike Hitch, is this one. So we're going to try with the same technique we did before. We're going to try to do a bowline. So the bowline is a very well-known knot, and one of the interesting things about the bowline here is that it's been used forever. So for you to do it and understand why you would want that, the bowline won't fall on itself, like it won't squeeze. So if you actually have to tie into something and you want to leave that slack there and you don't want this to be tying up or squeezing around the object, the bowline is the knot to go here. So for that, we're gonna do just like the Marlinspike here. We're gonna do a little loop. Then we're gonna lay that loop on top of the cord. Again, same steps as we did before. Pull the cord through that window there. But now we're gonna take one of this end in here, right? So that's your working end, as they say. And we're gonna go through that window and then back on itself, where we're gonna pinch it. So you can see my finger is just pinching like that. The moment I pull this, watch what happens. A small one. But a typical bowline would have this right here. You can see like it's a little round, like this area here, right? And then you have a little like loose end going inside of the loop like that. Now, the moment I have something in here, and again, I guess we can just go back to the Marlinspike here. Suppose this is an object that I'm just attaching to. I can pull that really hard and this won't go anywhere, right? Under load, it will stay. If you do need to maybe make it more secure, you could tie this up into like a half hitch inside of here. If, suppose I have this a little longer. So this won't go anywhere. This is useful when, let's say, you're camping and you have to stake this down. So you have, suppose again, this is your stake on the ground and I'm putting this in there, and then the other end, right, if you see sideways here, you would have this end here now connected, somewhere like a tent or something like that. So you could do this that way, or in reverse, you could have the bowline here going to your tent, and then the other side, we would be using another knot, which I'll show you here in a second. But this is a extremely useful knot to know. Now, to essentially undo this, you can see that the back here, if I just pull that, right, this will come when it's not under load. This will come out fairly easy, and then you're back to where you started. Now, the next one that I want to show you here is called an Alpine butterfly. So the bowline would give you that knot at the end of your paracord. Now, what if I want to have something, let's say, in the middle of the paracord here, like right here? The Alpine butterfly loop is a really good knot for that. There are more than one way to do it. I've learned a couple of ways, but I feel like this is likely, the one that I memorized the easiest way. So I'll teach you that. So if your hand's open, right, you will do 3 rounds or reps around your hand, right? Just like we're having there. Now, I'm just gonna pinch this here so it doesn't go anywhere. You don't have to. You can just leave it if you want. I'm just pinching to make my life a little easier. So this cord right here, the one in the middle, will come under the last one and then over everything. So if I come with my fingers, I pinch that, and then I go over all of them, and then I'm returning. You can see this is the cord right here under everything again, and I'm pulling that back out. Like, watch what happens. So this, I'll show you like that. That's called a Alpine butterfly loop. And you can see again, there's 2 cords in here. Like the cord is going to 2 different directions like that. And the knot is properly dressed, as they say, which is there's no, this is not gonna go anywhere. Now I could, let's say I have a carabiner. I could hang something in here. So if I have, let's say, a tree, and I tie this around a tree, like a 2 trees in here, I could hang a tool or anything actually that I have with a carabiner in here. So let's say you have a backpack you want to hang, or maybe you are in an area here that that you have to hang. Think about when you're camping, you might have lights that you want to hang, or even just boots or socks they're wet and you want to just kind of lift that from the ground. So this knot right here would help you with that.